a while again. I promise I am not trying to avoid my responsibilities here. It's just I've bitten off a little bit more than I can chew this time. The project is already done. I'm filming this after the fact, and I can tell you it has been a pain. Probably about 10, 15 hours of work spaced over 2 or 3 weekends. I think 3 weekends. It has been brutal. Since that's the only thing that I've been working on, I haven't had a video for the last couple of weeks. But this one's a double feature because you're gonna get the whole, I actually only recorded about 7-8 hours. The rest of it were just like touch-ups and tweaks, and sometimes the camera ran out of battery, and guys, it's just been a pain. So here's the video. It is a portrait that I'm going to be entering into my store's staff show coming up 24th of February, I believe, and today is the 10th, so that means I have 2 weeks to finish touch-ups on it. It's sitting right over here. I'm not revealing it quite yet. I don't know if it's going to be coming on camera at the end of it. It's really big. It's 30 by 40, so it's almost 4 feet tall. Oh my god, it's almost 4 feet tall. My little Rosie is about the size of a bobcat on it. She is cute though, as I'm sure you can all agree. Without any further ado, enjoy! Alright, let's get to the video. This particular time, we're using a 30 by 40 birch panel cradled. So it's basically just a solid canvas, which I have covered in, it's called pastel ground. I've used it before. Still haven't gotten around to using that coarse modeling paste that I used on the birdie. That was just so rough and tough, and I don't know if I can go through that again. I love the effect, but it just chewed through my pastels like nobody's business, and I kind of want to save them a little bit. So I'm using this pastel ground. It's a little bit finer. It's a very lightly sanded area. It's like a 600-800 grit paper. Very nice, very good to draw on. Sticks very well to the birch surface. The reason half of it is pink and the other half isn't is I was actually trying to measure out how much exactly one little 2-ounce jar of pastel ground would fill. So when I was on vacation in January, we went to a sort of like a reuse center sort of thing for art supplies, and I found this tiny little jar of pastel ground that was almost dead. It was the consistency of Play-Doh actually, so it was nearly entirely dried up, and I was like, you know, it's $5. Dang it, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna use it. So I get this home, put some water in it, mix it up nice and tidy. It's perfectly fine. It hasn't, the acrylic medium hasn't bonded to itself yet, so it's still perfectly pliable. That little 2-ounce jar actually covered about 3/4 of this 30 by 40 canvas, which is fantastic. I did not expect it to stretch that far. I didn't have any troubles painting on it either. I didn't thin it out too much or anything, and it just looks a little spotty. That's all. I maybe want to take a little bit of a breather at this point and talk a little bit about the importance of an underpainting. As you can see, the cat that I drew in probably about 15 minutes or so, just mapping it out, wasn't very good. It was kind of bad. And getting to the head of the cat with the pastels, you can see that that's changed quite a bit. So why did I even do the underpainting if I'm just going to layer over it and I'm not hardly going to use any of it as actual reference? Why do I do the underpainting? Isn't that silly? There is a very careful balance of importance going on in this painting. I would say that actually the most important part of the painting is, aside from the painting itself, is actually the substrate, and then actually the painting itself, and then the underlayer. The underlayer is still important. It still helps you get proportions and everything. I mean, at least I got the head going. The arm takes a little bit of work because I probably should have spent a little bit more time on the underpainting, just getting the proportions right on that, but I kind of just wanted to go. I wanted to get going and get painting, and maybe that was my mistake, maybe not. It does end up working out in the end, but I end up using a lot more time than perhaps I should have to really get it working. And I don't know if I actually record it here, but I actually do a fair bit of erasing and touching ups and everything in this whole painting. So maybe an underpainting would have, maybe helped me get through it more. Would have maybe saved me some time in the long run. I'm rambling a bit. It's been a good couple of weeks since I've actually sat down and recorded anything, so you'll forgive me my transgressions, folks. I am but a rambly person person. And what I'm trying to say is that the most important part of your painting is actually what you're painting on. In this case, the pastel ground that I'm using. You'll also count the birch panel on there too, but that's not quite as important as the pastel ground that I'm using. The grittiness of it is very tightly controlled. It allows a very specific amount of control in my pastels to it. Without it, everything would be quite slippery trying to layer on top of smooth wood. It wouldn't work. Pastels aren't sticky in the same way that paint is. Even paint, like you need to gesso a surface to paint properly. This is essentially the same thing. Anyway, a good paper, if you're using pencil crayons or pastels, or a good canvas if you're using paint, or a good painted wall if you're painting a mural, will cover up so many sins. The level of control that you can get from a good piece of paper or a good wall or a good canvas is unreal. A lot of people think that you need high class professional quality art supplies like pencil crayons and paint to do well. No. You need good paper. You need good cotton paper for watercolor that's not gonna buckle. It's gonna absorb properly. You need good amount of grit for your pastels to layer down the pigment and to get it to actually stick to the paper. You need a good amount of tooth for pencil crayons. Otherwise they're just gonna be slip sliding all over the place, and who wants that? You can actually see that I've done a couple of comparisons with Expressionist. They're a very hard pastel. They need a very toothy paper. A smooth paper that works with the Mungio just isn't gonna work with them because it's just gonna clump up. It's gonna look like bad mascara, folks. And actually, speaking of Expressionist, I'm actually using Expressionist for the cat itself because they are the most pure colors, I suppose you'd say. They're not muddy in quite the same way that they're not quite as deep. I'm not actually sure how you describe that. They're more chromatic. They're much more bright colors. They're not really made to be multi-use the same way that the Mungio are. The Mungio are designed to be kind of like professional colors. These are more Crayola colors. And they're very good for that, which happens to be what I do. So everything's hunky-dory. I'm using the Expressionist for the cat, and I end up using the Mungio for the background because I kind of want to wash it out just a little bit and bring full front and center to the cat. So my original plan was to actually record this video in two parts and give you one for the foreground and one for the background, and just kind of split this video up and make it a little bit easier on myself. I'm not doing that. This is the whole painting. This is all 15 hours of work, 8 hours recorded, everything. I mean, I've still got a couple of touch-ups that I gotta do on it before it's ready to be shown. I've still got to varnish and all that, but anyway, this is the background. And for the background, I took this really nice photo of a sunrise. And I decided that this kitty was gonna be looking off into the sunrise. Maybe not into the sunrise. The sunrise is kind of behind him, or her, I should say. It is Rosie. It's my baby Rosie. Rosie is a baby who is a she baby. And so the sunrise is behind her because that's the angle that I had. And I start drawing it in a little bit. I get the bottom going, very nice and very, very good. And I start in on the top, and the clouds is kind of where it starts to go a little bit wrong. And I have to go back in and redo them a couple times to get them exactly right. They're still not exactly where I want them, but there is such a thing as overworking a piece, especially when you're working with pastel. And if you're not just wiping it clean, then the pastels do tend to muddy each other up. Eventually there will be a point where they do not lay over each other and they'll just mix. So I'm not gonna let it get to that point. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. And, the cat's really the centerpiece of the painting anyway, and it's her looking off into the middle distance and contemplating her life and where she went wrong. And as you can see, that arm is actually looking much better. I do believe that I did not record the part where I went in and fixed it, but it is what it is. What do you want? I have one video card that's big enough. Yeah, you can't. You're expecting too much. You're putting too much pressure on me. But yeah, so the technique that I used for the left side of the painting is completely different than the technique I used for the right side, and I end up trying to replicate the technique on the left side more from the right side. Random scribbles and stuff, and kind of just like drawing lines in. I'm treating it like I'm drawing a plank of wood, which is ironic because they're actually, I do this exact thing except vertically very shortly, and it worked out really good for that too. Clouds though, it's more of like a chaotic wiggle rather than like straight lines, because wood, I don't know if you've seen wood. It's very normal to see wood. It's a very, very natural part of life is seeing wood. Everybody sees wood every once in a while, and if you've seen wood, then you would know that it is wooden and it has lines in it. Oh my god, what am I doing? And the straight lines are not what I'm replicating here. I'm replicating the idea of the lines rather than I'm just gonna. Yeah, no, it's still going, and as you can see, it kind of looks a little bit like a mess right now, but don't worry, I do fix it sort of in the background where you're not gonna notice because I didn't record it, and everything's fine, everything's good. Let's just move on. Can we move on? No? Okay. Yeah, that's cool too. I can dig it. Did I really leave this much of the background in? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, here we go. So this part, really easy. It's a wooden fence with a board running on it that the kitty cat can stand on. Because kitty cats like to stand. This particular kitty cat likes to stand. This particular pose, my fiance Katie calls it her Ron Swanson moment, actually, is what she likes to call it. And so I'm starting with the actual piece that the kitty cat is standing on, and I do it a little bit differently. It's all in one solid piece, and then I go in and add the shadows afterwards, because I was feeling a little fatigued at this point. It was probably off and on, probably about 4 hours of drawing that day. Very tiring. And so the plank of wood actually ends up looking more metal-ish, like a slab of aluminum. I'm not super happy about that, but I'm not starting over again. So we're just all going to have to deal with it in our own way and just kind of move on. Just move on. Everything's fine. Painting's almost done. This is there are parts of the painting that people aren't going to look at. And this part is not so jarring, it's not so glaringly obvious that people are going to stop and stare and point and laugh. Everything's gonna be fine. The worst thing that happens is they say, oh, that part was poorly well done. They're all gonna be British when they make fun of me. But you know what? Whatever. Last day, it's almost done. Let's just keep going. We're doing the fence now. And so the fence is a lot of the same kind of lines and whirls and everything that I kind of did in the clouds, except it's a little bit more orderly and it's vertical. That's it. That's pretty much. I fade it to black as it's going off into the back, just because you're not going to see the detail in the back parts because the perspective and all that's all going to skew it, and it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. The parts that are visible are appropriately detailed and everything's good, and I'm just going to let the video play out until the end, and we're gonna talk about it. We're not actually gonna talk a whole lot about it at the end. We're gonna just kind of answer the phone and then forget entirely what I was gonna say. That's what happens in the outro, and I want you all to be prepared about that. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, assuming that you're watching this when it comes out. If you're not watching it when it comes out, then I hope that you all have a great day, whatever that day may be, whatever challenges you may face. I know you can overcome them. I believe in you. You can't be doing everything wrong. I mean, you are watching my channel. So I will speak to you all in the outro. I sincerely hope that you don't feel as exhausted as I did making that. What can I say? It is such a treat to work with pastels on this scale because you can do all the detail that you want within reason. I mean, it's still like a crayon. But like I actually made, hold on a sec. I said I wouldn't do this, but look at that kitty cat. Oh my god, it is so friggin' big. I still gotta attach hardware to it too. Oh my god. I think that it is my best one yet though. Katie says that I should probably focus on doing pet portraits for a little while, and I think I might follow up on that. Well, I hope you all liked the video as much as I enjoyed making this wonderful piece of art. I'm okay. How are you doing? All right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye. That was my doctor. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time. Notice I didn't say next week. I am not making any promises. Might have a filler next week. See ya.